I'm giving you real like LA Lakers vibes right now, and I'm here for it. Hello. So I wanted to do a quick like roundup review of the eyeshadow palettes I have been focusing on over the past couple weeks. There are 4 of them. I will let you know how I like them, and I don't know what else is gonna come out my mouth. But first of all, let me tell you something. I am exhausted. I'm tired. Like, there's no R in the tired that I am. I'm tired. And the other day, last week, I was taking a nap in between patients, and I heard myself snoring. Has that happened to you? That's usually the sign for me that it's exhaustion and not just regular old tired, where I'm like literally asleep and I hear myself snoring. I'm one of those people who's like, I don't snore unless I'm real tired. So I'm gonna hold on to that. But honestly, I was like, oh wow, like you're tired, girlfriend. You need to take a rest. So I have taken a couple of days off this week, thankfully, and I am going to make myself rest. I mean, the thing is though that I also signed up for a training over the weekend on a very like depressing topic. So I can't get it quite right, that whole balanced self-care thing. So if you see me doing a lot of shenanigans, can you just be like, girl, go rest? Thank you. The other thing, let me tell y'all something. Remember how I told you about Rose pushing up on my boo? Like she was like really flirting with him with her wily cat antics. Girl, I woke up this morning and I have scratches like all on my arm. Now, I know like if you have pets, you get scratches. But girl, these feel real like purposeful. She was real stealthy. She was like, I'm gonna wait till you go to sleep. Then I'm gonna get you. So I'm watching her. Okay, so let me tell you about these eyeshadow palettes and we can move on. So the first one is the Melt Gemini II palette. Initially, I was not going to get this palette and then I got it. Like that's just how we got here, okay? I wasn't going to get the palette because I have these like rosy tones quite a lot in other palettes because they're some of my favorite colors, and I wasn't quite sure about the greens and especially this like mossy green, but I have actually used every single shade in this palette several times. The palette has 10 shades, 8 of which are matte and 2 are shimmers. There's this sort of like rosy penny tone and then this green shimmer. Now, I know that Melt gets mixed reviews on their formula for their eyeshadow palettes. This one, I will say, is a pretty solid formula. Like, I don't think you're going to pick this up and be like, of course, here's that shoddy, like, formula again. This is a pretty good formula. And what I will say is that I noticed with the shimmers, I felt like they applied much better with my finger rather than with a brush. The mattes, though, are just really easy to work with. I really actually like, even though I have these shades in other palettes, there's like some deeper tones here that I really enjoy. And I find that that really helps to, you know, just like give a little zhuzh to the looks that you do with this palette. This is definitely not a need. You don't need this palette. Like, I don't need this palette. Why do I have it? Especially if you have these rosy tones already and you have the greens and things like that. It's not a necessity. I think you can skip it. Yeah, I will say that the packaging is gorgeous. Like, I want to take this packaging to like a tailor or something and just be like, can you make me like a real flowy, like fitted dress? It can be flowy and fitted at the same time. Both. Give me a flowy one, give me a fitted one. I just want this like pattern in a fabric on my body. The next palette that I have been using is the Adept Cosmetics Plain Jane Remastered palette. Now, in contrast to the Melt that has like 8 mattes, this palette is just 12 multi-chrome shades. This is the first time, or the first palette that I've gotten from Adept Cosmetics, and I quite like it. What I've been doing is I have been taking my Natasha Denona, Work and Set How about you just stop and take a breath? I have been using my Natasha Denona Work and Set in black as a primer with these shades. So what I've been doing is putting that on my eyes as a primer and then going in with a shade on top of it. And it's like boom pow to the boom pow degree. Like, it's just super impactful. Now, what I will say about this palette is that a few of the shades do look pretty similar. Like, you probably could cut this palette in half in terms of the shades, just because a lot of the like purples, and there's definitely, what is happening? There's definitely like a leaning towards pinky purples, which I'm fine with because I love those tones. But I do feel like we could have done without maybe 2, 3, 4 of these shades, and it could have been a smaller palette. But the formula is so creamy. Like, you know how you get a real thick, good moisturizing lotion, like a Palmer's Cocoa Butter, and you put that on? That's how these shades feel. If they were lotion, I would be rubbing it all over. So, in terms of whether or not if you need this, I think if you don't already have multi-chromes that you really like, then yes, this is definitely something that you are going to enjoy. Though, keep in mind that the colors are similar. But I'm glad that I have it, and I'm excited to try more from the brand. Now, this is your not so basic palette from Blend Bunny Cosmetics. It is their Dollhouse palette. And this palette has 30 shades, I think. I didn't recount, but I'm pretty sure it's 30. Most of which are mattes, but you do have a top row and a bottom row that are shimmers. I've used a lot of the shades in this palette, and I really like it. It's sort of like a neutral, kind of like everyday palette with more. Like, it has like additional, you know, stuff to make it just that much more something. It just gives it a little extra something, you know what I'm saying? So I have enjoyed using this palette. I would say I don't enjoy as much this second row. It's mainly pastels, they're mattes, and just on my deeper skin tone, sometimes this like shade or tone of shades don't quite show up as well. I'm actually surprised at how much they do show up. I did do swatches of all of the shades, so they actually show up a lot better than I expected, and I could see why someone with a lighter skin tone would really like having these shades in their palette. For me, I could have done without it. I just pretty much use those shades as like blending shades, but I would have been fine without that second row and just had the other ones. But I like it. Now, the last palette is the Blend Bunny Cosmetics Surge palette. So I have 2 palettes from them, and the third one, their Blends palette of all mattes, is on the way. So if you love color, you will love this palette. I have seen people do such gorgeous looks with this palette. I have this palette on right now. Like, I don't know that I was like super creative. Like, I've got on purple and gold. Like, yeah. But what I do appreciate is that you can get such depth with this palette. I have on pretty much most of the purples in here, and I just love that I can go from lighter to deeper tones, and it's all in the same palette. I don't need to pull out any other palettes to like darken up the crease or lighten something. It's just all here. So similar to the Dollhouse palette, this does have 30 shades, and this second to bottom row here is all like very creamy shimmers, and then you've got this row of neons on the bottom. And some of the neons are said to light up in black light or under black light. Like, I don't go anywhere that has black light. Like, I feel like that's a real like young person thing, and I'm just not there anymore. So there's that, but I really like this palette. I would say that this is a palette that I've actually had to tell myself to put down and use something else just because I kept going into it. I feel like this is not the palette for someone who wants just like a little bit of color. I feel like this is just like you got up that morning and you chose color and you were gonna go for it. That's how I feel. I mean, maybe you can do a little bit with it, but I just find the shades are so pigmented, like right off the bat. Like, it's not like you have to build them up. Like, they are just, they're there, you know? Y'all, like I said before, I'm tired, so I probably just need to stop and, you know, go drink some water and mind my business. So that's it for today. Let me know if you have any of these palettes. So they are the Melt Gemini II, Adept Cosmetics Plain Jane Remastered, and Blend Bunny the Dollhouse and Surge. Let me know if you have any of those. Hopefully some of this was helpful. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.